Welcome to Jankowski Speed and Off-Road, where today we're going to go over how I built the frame and the steering and all that stuff for my daughter's 66 Nova stroller. There was a lot of questions on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube on how I did some of this stuff, and some people messaged me to ask if they could buy the the diagram or the schematics and how I did this. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go over what I did, and I'll have a link, like an Amazon link to some of the stuff that I bought here, just in the description, and also some of the other stuff that I bought. Like a lot of this stuff came from like Menards or, you know, like one of the big box stores, but a lot of it also came from Amazon. So I'll have an Amazon link on there. I am an Amazon affiliate, so I will get a small commission at no cost to you if you buy any of this stuff. It'll really help the channel and help me build some more things. So let's go through this. All right, so we'll start off with the interior of the car. I'm not going to really go too much into this. I have some other videos of making like the actual interior. This, like all the material for the interior I got from Max. Other than this steering wheel, I got from Speedway, and I made it just quick disconnect. It's just one of their, I can't remember what size, it's like a 10-inch steering wheel from Speedway. And I built a deal for it to go into. It's actually the steering stuff for a go-kart. It's just going in there. So this is the shaft that comes with this. This will be in the link. I got that on Amazon, and I might put it up somewhere here too. But yeah, this is just made out of 1/2-inch plywood that I just cut. And I'll give a few measurements here. So the width, and this is for a 66 Nova, and I don't know if all these bodies are the same. This is the only one I've ever done, probably the only one I'm going to do. So the front is 14.5 inches wide. I think the back is about the same. Yeah, it's the same. And front to back roughly is about 22 inches. And if you look at the other videos, when I cut the roof out, I didn't know what I was going to do on the inside. So I cut the roof out really far. I took the back window completely out, where in all reality, I could have probably left most of the back window and just brought it up to the back of the seat. So now I have to make like a little filler panel, and that's where I'm going to mount. If you've seen any of the other videos where I built AC for this, it's going to have a mount for a cooler to run chilled water for the AC. And then I just got these on the bottom here. There's some of these pound-in nuts. They come from the back side. They're like you see them on furniture and stuff. So I put tabs on the frame, so it actually bolts straight down to it. There's no nut on the other side. It's literally like a nutsert kinda. So that's how that's mounted up. So we're just going to move this out of the way. So we have the frame here, and there's another video of me making the stacks for this. So there's really not much to go through here if you watch that video. And there's links to all this stuff in that video. I just took, I think that's inch, like metal strapping. Yeah, it's like 1/8 by inch metal strapping that I bent and welded to this frame, and then just put some magnets in the end of this and just built this. This is siding that I like, PVC siding, and these are tail pieces for a sink, and they actually turned out kind of neat. But yeah, you make it just go right in there and it pops off. It's easier to haul it without this because that takes up a lot of room. Okay, so we have the frame. The frame it's It's like 3/4 square tubing that I just got from Menards. It's kind of thin. I don't know what the wall thickness is on it. I actually had to, when I built this frame, whenever you push down on the handle, the weight was enough where the frame was bending at the rear wheels. It never like broke or bent permanently, but it was bending, so I had to add some bracing to the bottom of this. It's basically another 3/4 by 3/4 square tubing going from here to here on the back. And that really stiffened it up. It doesn't really move around very much anymore. But what we have for length of the main frame rails, and I'm sorry that I'm going in inches. If I have time, I'll see if I can put it in the metric. But this is what I know. And we're just doing this on the fly. I really didn't have much for preparation here. So the frame rail length is 4 feet exactly on both of them. Four feet exactly on both of them with the spread between them. So like if you cut we'll pop this off. And we'll pop this thing over here. The spread between these is 5.5 inches. So I built 3 cross braces out of the same square tubing, and they're all cut at 5.5 inches. And I honestly didn't really measure where these went. I just put them where I thought they'd go. This one's roughly in the middle. And then I think I left roughly 2-inch overhang from the front and the back. And here are those tabs for that interior deal. These, I think I got them on Amazon years ago. These are actually made to go on like round tubing, but I had them left over, so I just laid them flat on here and welded them on because I'm cheap, and they were there. And then, so yeah, that's essentially the frame. I mean, we have these end pieces that hold the body on. If they're just angle iron, I think they're just inch angle iron, maybe 1.25 inches. And what we have between these two, because they do stick out past the frame a little bit, we have 4 3/4 end to end. And I did have to cut the body on either side because the body comes down like this, front and back. It just goes under like an L. So I had to cut the body out so it would slide over this. So yeah, then we'll go to the steering here. I'm gonna lift this thing up again. So the steering is, and this is mostly stuff that I got from the hardware store for the front, is there's some just round tubing going across and these like hairpins. I can't remember what they're for, but I do have those. I will have those on here. And you could probably just use go-kart steering. That'd probably be a lot easier, but I was really stretched for time. Like I really needed it done now when I did it. And I didn't have time to wait for it and then have it be wrong. So I just made my own stuff. So yeah, you have these pins, and then I just bought, they're like a bolt with a big ring on the end of it. They're kind of pricey, but that'll be on here too. And that's just where the axle comes out to this wheel. And these are just, what were they? I think I got these at Max. They were just like lawn tires for like a lawnmower or something. And they are rubber. I'd stick with rubber wheels. 7-inch diameter wheels up front. And then I bought these little Heim joints. And those are on there too. I didn't have time, so these Heim joints are fine thread, and I couldn't find any all thread that was fine thread in the time that I needed, so I just took fine thread bolts and tubing, and I cut the heads off the bolts, and I welded the bolts into the tubing to make my own, you know, my own rods, essentially. And I mean, it works. They work perfectly fine. And it went most of the summer. Nothing wore out, so you could always just get some like actual all thread that's made for it if you have the time. And then I just made these. These are like little fender exit headers, just some like 1/4-inch tubing with some bigger tubing on the end, and I kind of crushed them into it and welded it together. And this is all done with just a cheap, because it's just a cheap 120 welder. It's all you need. You don't have to go crazy. This stuff's all pretty thin. Then I have the axle in the back. That, I'm actually going to make it a little longer because I cut the body out because these tires are really big. So I cut the body out a bit. That is, I would say, about 10 inches wide. You can go a little wider. And I mean, you can use this on any other body. You just have to change the dimensions for, you know, length and stuff. And then let's see, I used for the steering, this is just like a, I want to say it's not even a 1/2-inch shaft, just some metal that I bought. And I just bought some tubing that they fit through. And in all reality, you should use bearings. I didn't, but it's been working fine. But I just have tubing that these slide through just to keep it supported. And I went way overkill, but I needed something with joints on it to make this curve up to the steering on the back. So this is for like a go-kart, for go-kart steering. It's got a couple of joints on it. I didn't have anything to put on this end, so I literally welded the rod into the end of this joint, so it's not coming apart again. And then I have another go-kart, like a steering wheel, steering shaft type of thing here, and then a really cheap steering wheel quick disconnect that I can hook the T-handle to on the back. And I'll see if I can show you. This is the T-handle. This is solid steel. This is like 3/4 inch. I couldn't find anything that would fit in the end of the slug. There's a slug that comes with these quick disconnects that you're supposed to weld the steering shaft to. I couldn't find an actual tubing that would fit in there, so this is a solid piece of steel. And see if I could show you this. It's just welded in there. You can see it's, if it focuses, there you go. It's just solid. So, yeah, this worked really well. And yeah, it's just a disconnect for a steering wheel. So you push it down, and you push it in, and you're connected. And I did put a little paint line on the disconnect and the rod, so when you put it together, because it can go together anyway, and you don't want to be sitting there trying to go straight and you're turned like this. So I just made a paint line on it, so when you put it in, it goes in the right way every time. So we'll keep going. I know this is rushed. I'm just kind of going for it. So these tires, these are actual Hoosiers. They're for a race cart. Let's see what size these are. These are a 4.5 by 10 by 5. I just got these off of eBay. They were already mounted on the rims. The width and height of these are, I mean, it's in the tire size, but you know, they're 10 inches high and about 5.5 inches wide. They fit pretty well in here. I mean, I did have to cut the wheel wells out a little bit to get them to fit perfectly. One thing I didn't account for, I wanted this to be a drag car, or look like a drag car, so I wanted big fat tires on the back. This takes up a lot of real estate in the car, so it kind of pushes the seat forward, which isn't a big deal right now because my daughter's pretty small. But if I wanted to add on, you know, to kind of keep using it as she grows, it might be a little more difficult. And then I'll take my camera off here and kind of bring you around. Give you a close up here. So here's that quick disconnect. You just push it down and this rod pops off, and this is just some bicycle, you know, bicycle grips. And I think that's 3/4 gas pipe. I can't remember if it's 1/2 inch or 3/4. That actually might be 1/2 inch. And then, yeah, this is how I built this here. I kind of had to triangulate it a little bit. I kind of welded it in the back here. It doesn't look the greatest. Welded it back here, made it come down here. I think that is, I mean, you guys can use anything, but yeah, 1.5 inch by probably 1/8 plate there. So that's just welded down in there, and I kind of ground it out so it followed the contour. Yeah, this is how I did, like down here where all the bracing is, and I just brought it up to the tube and then just used some plate steel on the bottom to bridge it, and it kind of goes all the way up here. Then the axle rod, I think that's 5/8 ready rod or all thread. I just kind of have it apart right now because the body's off. And oh yeah, I also got hubs. I think I have that saved somewhere, so I'll put that on there too. That's really about it. Not bad. Oh, I suppose I could show you. Let's see. These, I don't like how far apart these are. I wish it was in a little more. But the width between these two right now is about 19.25. They could be in by 1/2 inch. It would look a little better, I think. They kind of stick out a little bit. I was trying to think of what else anybody would need to know. Obviously, you have to get your hardware. I think I have some of that stuff saved too. I mean, it's whatever fits. And honestly, this was, like, all of this was more work than it needed to be. I would just go with normal, like, go-kart steering. They make, like, the actual knuckles that you can use for a go-kart. I think these are, I can't remember what the thread is on these. But yeah, kind of have to do a little messing around. And then these are threaded on the inside. I just ran bolts in and cut the heads off and slid them in this tube and welded them in. Yeah, and the body just bolts up to these. I don't have anything on the sides. It's done really well. Just front and back. The body is actually pretty solid. So yeah, I really didn't know how I was going to do this when I first started, and I just kind of went with it. This place is a mess right now, but here, we'll show. I'm going to move back here. this is just that quick disconnect. Push it down, it slides out. One thing I had to do with this is this flange and this flange were close. They have 3 bolts that go through, but I think it was on the steering side, not the adapter. I had to like ream these out big time to get these to mate up and be straight, because they were pretty far off. It wouldn't just bolt on. I had to sit there with drill bits and a carbide bit and all sorts of stuff and hog it out, or you could use like a file and that would take care of that. But yeah, that's really about all there is for that. In all reality, it's really not that difficult to make. It's just when you're starting off from scratch, you have no idea what you need to do. So I hope that helped everybody. If there's any other questions, leave them in the comments. I'll put that list up and just have fun building whatever you're going to build. Have a great day.